friends, how are you doing this evening? Hope you're doing wonderful. We just passed our 200 mark in subscriptions. Our next goal is 300, and when we hit 1,000 subs, we can go live out on the field using my phone. So anyway, guys, I want to introduce another video to you. This is Dan the Druid. This is another person I met up at the Pagan Pride Festival up in Cleveland last Saturday. And you know what? He was nice enough to give us an interview and nice enough just to share and answer our questions. You're going to notice that the interview style was a little bit different than I normally do when I'm talking to somebody. But I wanted to make these people at ease. I wanted them to feel comfortable with me, and I wanted them to answer my questions. Okay? And that's exactly what they did. Guys, I guess maybe one of the first things you'll notice when you watch these interviews is, yes, it's true. Slowly but surely, I've been putting on a little bit more weight. I don't know. It could be because I bought this bag of chocolate on payday. I saw this a few weeks ago at the store, and then I just couldn't quit thinking about it. Then, what do you know, on payday, I gave in to temptation. But anyway, folks, as soon as I finish this bag of chocolate, I'm gonna get right back at it real hard. I'm still working out. I need to hit the Stairmaster again. But Dan the Druid, just, pay attention to what he says. He talks about chaos magic. He had a pentagram necklace that I asked him about that he was wearing that was a chaos magic, necklace, okay, with a pentagram on it. So he talked about the left-hand path. We're going to be talking about that in the next few weeks. We're going to be talking about chaos magic as well. And I think it's important that Christians have a clue about what's going on, okay? That we know what these things are, that we know, the definitions of these terms, and we can have an intelligent conversation about these, okay? I think what will happen is for many people that watch this video that these things are going to come up in their lives, in their neighborhoods, in anywhere USA, anywhere planet Earth, okay? So anyway, just check out this this video with Dan the Druid. I wish I had time to break down just every point to you. I wish I had time to edit this video and just to throw in some screenshots of some things he's talking about. I don't have time to do it. I don't have the manpower. We are busy getting ready for a conference. We're busy getting ready for next week. And usually when I wait to do it right, it just doesn't get done. So I'm just pushing this stuff out raw, unedited for you guys to consume. If you like this content, please subscribe. Please share the videos. Give us a thumbs up. Hey, thank you for your support. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for those who support us financially. If you didn't know, there's a way that you can do that on our website. Go to throughtheblack.com. There's a support tab. There's a place where you can buy our t-shirts. Guys, you guys are awesome. We are coming back live 6 nights a week. And we got all kinds of new content, new interviews, new types of shows, new stuff. So anyway, check out this video from Dan the Druid. Okay, you said Dan, right?
Yes. Hey
guys, I'm out here with Dan at the Cleveland Pagan Pride Festival, and Dan is one of the few that is stepping up to do an interview. People are a little bit camera shy, you understand that, right?
Yes.
So let me ask you this, how in the world did you end up here at the Pagan Pride Festival?
Well, this was always something I'd been interested in since I was pretty young. I was always interested in the paranormal, like we were talking about, the esoteric side of things. So when they started doing this festival, I knew a few of the people who were planning to come, so I figured, well, I'll start. 2010 was the first year they did it. I figured, well, I might as well come and check things out since I've always been interested in that kind of stuff, and I've been coming every year since then.
So, okay, so you've been interested in that kind of stuff. Do you have any practice or belief that you are involved in?
Yeah, I've been involved with a few different kinds of groups. One of my groups is here right now, actually ADF, Stone Creek Grove, so they're a Druid group, and you can hear all about that if you wanted to. I mean, they're doing their Druidry 101 and Blessing right both days, so brochures and everything. I've been involved in some other stuff too, ghost hunting. I actually know people who are involved in that, who own a few places and have
you ever been to Mansfield to the Reformatory?
I've been to the I haven't done the ghost tour. I've done the day tour of the
That's where I live. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
So
I know they have that. They're doing that thing, Incarceration Festival.
Yeah, we just.
I'm a rock and roll fan too, so haven't been there, but I know it's
big,
some good bands.
Big music fest,
Festival,
so it's our town loves it. It brings in people and fills the hotels up.
I'm sure.
So okay. Well, let me ask you this: what do your parents and grandparents think about what you do?
Family. Well, so grandparents are dead now. They all live to be old, thankfully. They're dead now. Family, some of them were involved with the Catholic Church, but some of them aren't all that involved now for very, obviously there's certain reasons why a lot of people have left the Catholic Church more recently, which we don't have to get into. I'm sure you know what those reasons are. But
did your upbringing?
Some of them are kind of not. So some of my extended family are kind of non-religious, but they've got, some of my relatives have gotten interested in this kind of stuff like ghost hunting, especially because of popular culture and all that. So
what do you think ghosts are?
Well, a lot of people say maybe people that are deceased that have, haven't moved on or else choose not to move, choose to kind of stick around. That's one theory. Some people talk about residual energy too. That's the theory I've heard a lot, but residual energy kind of just like, like a leftover feeling. A lot of people talk about that leftover energy. Right. A lot of times we have that, sometimes if you have a room that you associate with certain things, like your relaxed place, when you go in there, other people notice that, or also sometimes I can pick up on that too. So.
What would be the Druid belief for that? You said you're affiliated.
So we talk about the land spirits and the nature spirits. Some people, some people think, well, some of the nature spirits were probably people who died and are now kind of become part of the land and stuff. We make offerings to the outdwellers too. So the outdwellers are kind of whatever you would call the more mischievous class of spirits, the demons. We kind of, anytime we start our rites, we kind of pacify them. We kind of go off, step outside, make a little offering.
So you mentioned you make offerings. What does that mean? Can you explain that to
it can be depends on the tradition. It can be, just we tend to use water, maybe a little bit of sometimes wine or whatever, whiskey, just depending on the kind of ritual, depending on what you're working with. Sometimes we'll just, we'll purify water and then pour a little bit of water outside the space. We use, candles and stuff like that.
And explain to me, is there power in that? What does that do?
Again, it's kind of what you put into it. It's kind of like what it represents for you. So we work with like the tree and the sky, the tree, the earth, and then we have certain things that represent all those in our working. So it's kind of what you put into it. It's kind of what it represents in your ritual for you. So we say, may it become whatever it is during the ritual. And then when the ritual's ended, we can say it just goes back to being whatever it was before, just a mundane object or whatever when it was represented. So.
Right, okay. So one of the things, looking around, I see things like, at the Pagan Pride Festival, like Ouija boards and things like that. And just as an example, using Ouija boards as an example, there's no shortage of stories where things went wrong with people, playing with a Ouija board. Does that kind of thing concern you?
Does it concern me? I haven't had experiences with Ouija boards. I've tried them before. I have had experiences with EVP as part of ghost hunting and other stuff, seances. I've been part of seances a little bit, but Ouija boards, again, people say, well, is there any inherent power in the Ouija? People say, well, it's just a game that was made by Parker Brothers or whatever. Well, again, there's no inherent power in it, but it's when you're using it that I'd say that you're giving it something. It could be something else besides the Ouija board too. I've heard there may be people, the people say, well, just because somebody's dead doesn't mean they're smart or doesn't mean they're looking out for your best interests. So a lot of our traditions, we work with our ancestors, we work with your ancestors that you can trust. So we say, we work with certain people who we would have trusted when they were alive. So we say, we know those are a deceased person that you can trust once they're crossed over as the people who your ancestors, whether ancestors of blood, or else just anybody who influenced you during the time when they were alive.
Right.
If you're just working with trying to communicate with any spirits, you don't really know who they were when they were alive. You don't really know what their intentions may be, so
okay,
that's part of it.
No, hey, can you share with us about your necklace and what that means?
So this is something from the Order of Phosphorus. It's a group that Michael Ford was the founder of that group, and you can read more about him. He's been involved with various groups. They have some of his books over at Spirit Apotheosis, which is the store that's owned by.
Now, you said Michael Ford. I recognize that name. How do I recognize his name?
He's based out of Texas. He's spoken at various events like the International Left Hand Path Conference.
Okay.
That's a big event that he's spoken there a few times. Again, he's authored books. He has a YouTube channel where he talks about maybe left hand path.
So, and left hand path, okay, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, maybe associated with Satanism?
Well, they say it's kind of it's kind of like the counter to the right-hand path would be the orthodox way of doing things.
Right.
So the left-hand path, it's more of so they could use Satan as an archetype in the left-hand path. People basically categorize as like more spiritualities that are more about the self than serving a higher power, however you want to take that.
You know, and you just kind of made me think of something. I see a lot of people, you know, like where you're out at Walmart or somewhere, and I'll see bumper stickers on their car.
Yeah, we got bumper.
Well,
you can buy those here.
You'll see maybe a sticker where it's like a theistic satanic symbol, and then an atheistic satanic symbol.
Yeah.
And I wonder if some people know the difference of what, you know, like what they're involved in. You know what I mean?
Well, there is a difference. I can't speak for everybody.
Yeah.
Some people say you don't have to be religious. So some people use it more as an activist movement, or more as just a symbol that, as a symbol of where some people do work with gods, and they use the left-hand path through the left-hand path perspective. So they may work with, especially if you're working with gods that were considered the more sinister kinds of gods, and ancient gods of the dead or whatever, or gods of war, maybe gods of things like that. There would have been a reason to work with those gods too. So so you could be approaching it from that perspective compared to just typical anti-religious perspective, anti-Christian perspective, or whatever.
Last question, Dan, unless I think of something else. What advice would you give to somebody who maybe crossed the line, you know, with something dark spiritually, so to speak, like, and it could be something like sleep paralysis, or it could be something. What advice would you give to somebody that wanted to get rid of that spirit?
Well, I've heard stories about that before. I probably could tell you other people who could tell you about that. Sometimes people, you know, you hear about exorcism and stuff that can work for some people, or sometimes people have found it. They need to get rid of things. They've described it as kind of like severing the tentacle. I've heard people describe it as like something that kept latching on to stuff, so they, through their energy, were kind of severed the tentacles, if you will, to stop it from getting it. That's what they ended up doing, to stop it from getting attached. Some people have had to try stuff like that too. Well, you mentioned exorcism. Do you think there's anything to that? There can be. Again, if you're working with the kind of language that spirit would understand, again, you have to maybe understand that spirit and what kind of culture it comes from, and what would be considered in that culture a way to get rid of unwanted spirits. So spirit will listen to that kind of language if you're talking to.
It's like you're making a deal with a spirit or something.
We work with spirits. We say, you know, you build a relation with the spirit that you're working with. You don't just go up to them and ask for something. That's just, again, so we're talking about offerings too. So it's kind of like, you don't just go up to a stranger on the street and ask, hey, can you do me a favor? You cultivate a relationship with that spirit, and that can be through.
Do you think there's anything the spirits are afraid of? Like, for example, if somebody has a sleep paralysis situation, is there any way to make that spirit fear?
There could be a medical reason for sleep paralysis too. I've heard about it. I haven't really experienced it myself.
Well, I just use that as an example. But I just, and also, I mean, the testimony of people, they're like, when that happened, there was something evil there, right?
Yeah, you know, I've heard stories about people who would just get possessed. Sometimes some people are more susceptible to it. Somebody's like, I had a roommate at one time. I was on my way out to work, and somebody's like, hey, he got possessed again. So sometimes it can, you can believe that, actually. So sometimes it can just be, you know, some people may just attract certain things to them, and it's just, in that case, it's more just about knowing how to kind of, again, get rid of it.
Hey, Dan, thanks for talking to us, man. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Have a good day.